Hi, friends. My name is Andrew. What I do is turn ordinary walls into real masterpieces. Have you ever looked at a bare wall and wondered how to turn it into something truly alive, three-dimensional, with soul? Forget about flat walls, moldings, and boring paintings. Today I'm going to share a secret with you that will completely change the way you think about decor. I'll show you not just techniques, but my unique method that lets you create bas-reliefs and recesses that bring spaces to life. Get ready to see magic come to life on the wall, from the very first idea to the final touch. This won't just be a video, it's an immersion into a world where walls can tell stories. Let's go. Once, while standing in front of a 4x5 meter wall, an idea struck me. What if I painted something on this wall? No, better yet, what if I carved it? That's how my journey began. A few months ago, a client reached out to me. He wanted something unusual on the wall of his future coffee shop. Not knowing exactly what, he turned to me for help. Looking at the photo of the wall, I suggested creating a 3D engraving on it, not just carving, but also using different materials to give it a special effect. The client liked the idea and decided that miniature skyscrapers would look great on it. I went to the skyscrapers in Moscow City to study them from different angles and choose the best ones. I took several photos and made the necessary sketches. My task was not just to carve the towers, but to do it in such a way that each one would stand out with its own approach and technique. A few days later, I got started. At the very beginning of the work, I already had some details in mind, but the truly brilliant ideas came to me right in the process. I brought each and every one of them to life, without exception. No sketches, no drafts. As soon as an idea was born, I would immediately bring it to life on the wall, and my hands became my unique tool, unmatched anywhere in the world. Later, even though I was physically strong, I faced the problem of numb hands and back pain from all the static movements. I found a solution: daily morning runs and strengthening exercises. Almost immediately, this had the desired effect. And after 172 days of work, yes, I completed this project in 172 days. I successfully accomplished the task. So, get into sports to break down those so-called boundaries and open up new horizons. Who knows, maybe it's a run that will give you the idea that turns your whole life around. To complete the 3D engraving, I used more than a dozen tools and over 1,000 consumables. The plaster with granite inclusions mercilessly devoured my diamond bits. Among the tools, the most important was the engraver with a flexible shaft, which kept breaking down under heavy use. In addition, there was a mini angle grinder with diamond discs, a laser level, a hammer drill, a sander, a polishing machine, and many others. As for hand tools, these included spatulas, palette knives, a hammer, a chisel, a straight edge, a hand sanding block, and much more. Decades later, I realized why it's so important to develop fine motor skills in childhood, so you can hone them later and achieve a jeweler's level of precision in any field. Over the years, I've created many different things. And now, when I need to create something truly beautiful, every step, centimeter by centimeter, I can carve anything I want on the wall with jeweler-like precision. There were times when I spent an entire day carving out a 5x5 centimeter section. Nowadays, there are many types of inert materials for wall finishing, but in terms of all its properties, marble is, of course, number one. This noble stone has an excellent texture, color, and is easy to work with. Marble is mainly quarried in Italy, Greece, Russia, and China. The most highly valued marble is from Italy, the so-called Carrara marble, which is quarried in the Apuan Alps in Tuscany. Its snow-white shade, exceptional uniformity, and history of use in iconic architectural landmarks such as the Pantheon and the Vatican cathedrals make this marble extremely expensive and highly sought after. Of course, there are other types of marble that are just as beautiful. Which kind of marble do you like best? Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll use it in a future project. Why am I only talking about marble? There are other stones, and not just stones, that can become true masterpieces. Maybe it's not even about the stone at all. Granite, plaster with a high cement content, limestone, slate, sandstone, and even brick and glass. Maybe it really isn't about the stone. So, after months, you finally have a masterpiece on your wall. But now the question is, how do you take care of a relief or bas-relief so it keeps its original beauty? Let's take marble. Over time, dust collects on the surface of the stone, or worse, stains appear whose origin is unknown. If it's just dust, a flannel or suede cloth dampened with clean water will do the trick. But if the sculpture has thin or fragile elements, cleaning should be contactless. The best option is compressed air at low pressure. Dealing with stains is more complicated. Here, use a cloth dampened with water and a mild soapy solution, or a cleaner specifically designed for marble. The marble sealer I use prevents stains from penetrating deep into the marble's pores, so almost any stain can be easily removed. In some cases, you need to use a steam generator, but you have to be especially careful with it. Who can handle a task like this? Of course, the creator of the masterpiece. If you want to be absolutely sure about cleaning the three-dimensional relief or bas-relief, just contact me. A relief or bas-relief on stone is definitely a beautiful combination, but I didn't stop there. I can use techniques and materials that no one has dared to try until now. How about epoxy resin with a touch of pigment? It's an excellent material that will expand your usual idea of what a masterpiece on your wall can be. With resin, you can highlight certain details of the masterpiece, create separate semi-transparent elements, and so on. Besides resin, I can also create reliefs and water effects, like a waterfall on the wall or liquid pouring from one transparent container to another. And if you add dynamic lighting, there could even be fire or moving mechanisms. What if these are smart mechanisms that react to the viewer's movement? In addition, I can build up marble elements so seamlessly that you won't be able to spot the transition from the recessed part to the added section. The possibilities for creating three-dimensional engravings are truly endless. Working with stone requires a huge amount of consumables, from chemical solutions to diamond cutters. Depending on the hardness of the stone and the size of the artwork, you might need anywhere from 500 to 1200 diamond cutters. If the piece is large, that number can reach 4 or even 5,000 cutters. Why so many? The thing is, the diamonds on the cutter wear down, and the precision of the work can suffer. A cutter that's halfway worn out needs to be replaced with a new one. It's also important to note that different engraving geometries require cutters of various shapes, and today there are more than 200 types. You always need to have a stock of the most in-demand cutters. My main technique is sculptural stone carving. I believe that the more time you spend carving an element, the more refined and lifelike it will turn out. After all, any picture, whether it's drawn or carved, is made up of details. So how do you create an element with jeweler-like precision? First of all, the artist shouldn't feel any physical discomfort. The whole body should be relaxed. Otherwise, you can forget about achieving that level of precision. Your hand holding the graver should have support. Rest your pinky finger near the surface you're working on and use smooth movements to carve. Do it like Michelangelo, like Rodin, like Bartholdi. If the element has rounded shapes, use forward motions, removing layer after layer from the stone until you achieve the desired result. Here, you need to remember that when you feel like you've reached the right depth or the correct shape of the element, stop, take a pause, and look at it from a distance. If you think you need to keep working on the element, go ahead and do it. If at some point you realize you've cut away too much, you'll have to think about restoring that area. In most cases, you can restore the stone using a mixture of epoxy resin and marble dust. There are no recommended proportions, so you'll have to do it by eye. Restoration can take anywhere from a few hours to a whole day. Build up the needed area using a palette knife, spatula, or any other handy tools. Sometimes it's better to do this by hand. Apply the mixture with a bit of excess and let it dry. This takes at least 24 hours. Then continue working on the restored area. There are cases when restoration is impossible. That's when improvisation comes to the rescue. Come up with a new way to play up this area. It all depends on your imagination. But still, it's better to take breaks than to think about restoration. When the work is 99% done, but as the creator you're still not satisfied with your efforts, come up with details you could add to your piece. Maybe you should add some external materials in the form of small elements that will give your masterpiece a touch of elegance. Don't forget to coordinate this with the client. Of course, lighting will give your work extra depth. To calculate the light power and properly position the fixtures, seek help from professionals. And just like that, step by step, magic is born on the walls. To keep discovering new facets of art and exclusive projects, please subscribe to my channel. And if you want to transform your space into something truly special, contact me using the link in the description of this video. See you next time.